4 prepubescent preteens must band together to survive an alien invasion. But not only that, they must also try and save the world. Can they do it before they hit puberty? This is a hot take on the Netflix original movie, Rim of the World.
Everybody's gone!
Look, honey, this summer is gonna be great. You're gonna make friends. There's nothing to worry about.
Welcome to the Rim of the World Adventure Camp. Alex, I am your leader, Logan.
I love you.
And Dad, where are you going? I don't think we should wander this far. Maybe we should head back?
Follow me. What was that?
I've never seen anything like them.
It's Independence Day. It's June, Gabriel!
We just need to wait here until the adults realize they left us.
Did you see the size of that thing?
Please stop talking. Oh, please stop.
Was that an alien?
It has a dog!
We need to find our parents.
We gotta get to the city.
Do not move! We're at war. You're not safe here. You've gotta go!
We can't leave you!
Take this key. It's on you now.
This is a crypto key. It can activate our satellite defense.
We should try to find JPL. It's a NASA facility 70 miles away from here.
How are we supposed to go 70 miles?
1973 Ford Mustang Mach 1. I can't drive a stick.
Yes, that's it!
Well, that's it!
To the one on the flamboyant temper, just toss that ham in the frying pan.
Ow! This is Animal Kingdom out here.
We have each other. And we can't give up now.
I'm your master now.
No, the line is now I am the master.
Okay, we really need to get you a girl. May I propose a toast? Oh, crap, this is from 1969. Could at least get some fresh wine if this is gonna be my first time, right?
All right, so as you can tell from that trailer, Rim of the World looks pretty darn good. And I got a chance to sit down and watch it last night. And, well, let's just say the trailer was better than the movie, even though the movie I didn't think was all that bad. Now, I just want to preface before we get into this that these hot takes are not actual reviews of things. When I do a review of a movie or a TV show or whatever, I really like to kind of dig deep, break it down, and analyze it. These hot takes are just meant to be my initial impressions on a movie or a TV show or what have you, just to let you know whether or not I recommend checking it out. And I would definitely recommend checking out Rim of the World. I think that it was a fun movie. It was kind of dumb, goofy 80s style fun movie. The guy who wrote it, his name is Zach Stentz. And basically, he was inspired to do a modern take on a kid-centered film from the 1980s. So basically, he looked at all the Spielberg 80s movies, things like Goonies and stuff like that, and wanted to kind of update it, but also recreate it for modern audiences. And he had to deal with Netflix, and this was kind of like his first thing. Some of you probably don't know, in fact, most of you probably don't know who Stentz is, but you probably know his work. He was the writer on the original Thor movie. He also wrote X-Men First Class, and he's been involved in a number of pretty good TV shows, actually. He was involved in writing episodes of Fringe, the Flash on the CW back when it was good, and of course, he also had a role in writing Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. So he's got a pretty decent pedigree. And basically, the movie, it's about kind of 4 young teenagers who are at this summer camp. I wouldn't even call them teenagers; they're more like preteens. So like they're all at this summer camp in the mountains of Southern California, and they're from radically different backgrounds. They don't quite jive at first, And while they're at this camp, an alien invasion occurs, and it's basically like Independence Day. So this movie is basically Goonies meets Independence Day. And so this alien invasion occurs, and they get a hold of this special key that has navigation coordinates for a planetary defense system to shoot down the alien mothership. And they have to get this key from their camp all the way to this government facility located in Pasadena, which is like 70, 80 miles away from where they are. So it's kind of like their adventure journey from, you know, the hills of California into the heart of the city, and they're being pursued by this alien bad guy the entire time, and they also run into other obstacles like, unscrupulous outlaws who are kind of taking advantage of the end of the world and things of that nature. And they also kind of have conflicts with one another, and they have to learn to get along, and, you know, your typical kind of like team building thing. And one of the things I really appreciated about this movie was that each of the child characters, you know, they kind of waffled from being annoying to being, entertaining. But each of them kind of had their own arc to them, which just goes to show that there was actually some thought and care put into, the writing of this story, where, you know, each character kind of got their moment and they got their journey and their payoff. Some of them were a little bit underdeveloped, but overall it was pretty good. The movie's directed by McG. If you guys don't know who McG is, you're probably pretty familiar with some of the stuff he's done. So he started off as a music video director. He was the guy behind all the Smash Mouth videos from the 90s. He did the Pretty Fly for a White Guy video for The Offspring, and he was also responsible for a lot of the Sublime videos. And his first kind of foray into feature film directing was Charlie's Angels, the Charlie's Angels movies. So you can thank him for the first big screen incarnation of Charlie's Angels. But he also went on to do Terminator Salvation and This Means War. But more recently, he's gotten into doing Netflix original films. So I think his last movie was called The Babysitter, which was actually a pretty decent movie. You might also know his TV work. So he was the guy behind the TV series Chuck, which I absolutely loved. But he was also the guy behind Shadowhunters on Freeform Network, which I absolutely hated. That was the TV adaptation of the Cassandra Clare Mortal Instruments series. And he also most recently produced the Lethal Weapon TV adaptation, which kind of crashed and burned, not because of him, but because of some behind-the-scenes conflict going on there with the show's stars. But he kind of comes in, and McG has a really interesting style where, visually, like, he has a very, strong visual palette to his films, like the way he uses colors, the way he uses framing. And he also has a really goofy sense of humor, which works. Like, if you ever watch the Charlie's Angels movies that he made, you'll get a sense of his kind of style of humor. And that's definitely a strong element here in Rim of the World, where he basically, in the first act of the movie, it's just pretty much all gags for the most part as you're getting to know these kids. And then once the alien invasion kind of hits, it becomes a lot more serious. But the interaction between the kids also kind of inject a lot of humor into these serious situations. But the first part of the movie is actually quite goofy. And it actually kind of works. It's pretty funny. There's a lot of good kind of like jokey dialogue going on at the beginning of the film. And that's totally McG's thing. Like, you could tell a lot of this stuff was kind of ad-libbed by the actors. And that's part of McG's style. But then, like, once it starts getting serious, there are some really sweet moments between the four main teens, and there is some really good character development that actually goes on. Now, it's not a perfect movie by any means. I actually thought that the trailer made the movie look much more interesting than it actually was. But for what it was trying to accomplish, which is kind of a callback to the 1980s kid adventure films like Goonies, Explorers, things like that, I thought it did a really good job. It really captured that tone and that feel. And when it did get kind of serious and dangerous, you could tell like there was like real threat to the characters and stuff like that. And it never crosses the line to being too unbelievable, in the sense that you have four really young kids facing these obstacles and somehow surviving it and overcoming it. So there are like a few times where you might think like, that's pushing the boundary a little bit, but overall, it felt very realistic, and the chemistry between these kids really kind of carries the movie forward, and the adventure is very well kind of plotted out and well done, I thought. So if you're looking for like a fun science fiction movie, especially something that you can kind of watch with kids, even though young kids might think it's a little bit scary because the major alien bad guy in it is kind of, a little bit scary for kids. But there's not a whole lot of curse words. There's a little bit of sexual innuendo, but nothing that, a 12-year-old isn't exposed to on a daily basis at school. But it really captures that kind of fun, vibe that a movie like Goonies or those 1980s kids adventure films like E.T. and stuff like that really kind of do a good job of embodying. It does a good job of that, and I would highly recommend it. If you're looking for like a dumb, fun science fiction movie that you can turn your brain off to and just enjoy, and especially if you want something that you can watch with a family, with kids, and stuff like that. So just know what you're getting into. McG, he's not the best filmmaker in the world, but he's pretty consistent in churning out decent, entertaining fare, and that's pretty much what Rim of the World is. So this was a little hot take of mine. I hope you liked it. If you did, subscribe for more, and also check me out on Twitter and all the other social medias, and I will catch you guys on the next one. This is Matthew Kadish, signing off. Later.